The first game I played against Kobe.
The very first time I played against him.
The first time ever actually playing against him.
You remember, like, damn, like, you know, I'm on a court with Kobe, like.
I was just in awe.
I'm not sure if I could even do it any justice, really.
It's a guy who I would tape on my wall when I lived in Spring Hill in apartment 602. To be able to share the floor with him was like a, you know, for any kid that has aspirations or has inspiring moments from someone, it's just like a sense of awe.
I remember most just watching somebody that I literally grew up watching on YouTube.
And I remember just watching him, you know, just like, I'm really about to line up against Kobe.
I remember lining up the jump ball against Andrew Bynum and looking over and seeing, you know, Kobe. And that's when it was surreal for me. That's when I realized I was really a part of the NBA.
I think the thing that stood out most to me about playing Kobe that first time was his pregame warm-up. Why is he working out at 4 o'clock and it's a 7:30 game? By the time I finished watching his workout, I had like missed my lift, my treatment time. You know, as a young guy, you get the early slots, and once you miss it, it's over. I had missed everything. And I think for me personally, that was just a moment like in my life where it was like, yo, like I'm sitting here watching Kobe. Nothing else really mattered to me at that point.
For me not to get, you know, 50 dropped on me. My rookie year, we played against them in the playoffs. And I was just trying my best. I was just talking smack. I was just in his ear. He wasn't fazed by it.
At the Forum, my rookie year, we played against him, and I got switched on to him in an ISO situation. I'm, you know, scrawny, 170-pound rookie coming in, and the look he gave me was so damn disrespectful. It was crazy.
He hissed like an actual snake. You know, whenever he wanted the ball, he would make a hissing sound, and it threw me all the way off. Like I didn't know that was a thing.
He was just testing me. Like he was just testing to see what I was made of. He was testing to see what type of mentality I had. And he was just testing me to see, you know, who I was as a person and what I stood for. I guess I wanted to gain his respect so much at that moment.
And he was just stone-faced, straight killer mode the whole game.
It's down to 7. Starting to make his move for the win. He got the lead for him.
I remember we got our ass kicked. I remember that.
You know, I think I'm a pretty, you know, physical defender and all that stuff, and I'm a young pup. And I could tell you he beat the living out of me without even having the ball.
I always tell the story. I got a switch on Kobe. He was posting me up. I blocked his shot, and the ball bounced the half court, and I went running after it full speed. It was a big moment for me because I could brag to my friends that I blocked Kobe Bryant's shot.
This guy's a blur. Kobe, deep three, got it.
He got the ball back and shot a 3, and he said, the play continues, young fella.
He says, John Wall, get this one.
The very first time was actually here in LA. It was my assignment to guard Kobe. Obviously having B. Shaw as an assistant. And B. Shaw's like jawing at him, egging him on, getting him riled up, talking mess from the bench. Here I am in the middle while all of this is going on. I was guarding him, and he, you know, he got into his back down, his patent pump fake, and I went flying for it. You know, a young guy trying to go block his shot, I went flying for it. And he caught me in the air. He ran down, specifically ran down to where B. Shaw was, and yelled at B. Shaw, check the young fella for feathers.
The first time that I played against him was when I was in Chicago and he was with the Lakers. And I just remember him asking Michael Jordan all these questions on the court the whole time. But I think what ultimately made him who he was that audacity to ask Michael Jordan for pointers in his very first game against him. Think about most 18-year-olds, they'd be scared to death to go against Michael. And he was just inquisitive. It's pretty remarkable.
He was just our generation's Jordan in terms of like iconic moves, ISO stuff, fadeaways, game winners.
I try to emulate how he moved down to what he said to you guys in the media, to how he worked out before the games, what he watched. I was really try to study it as much as possible. I would never told him that, but as a younger player, I was really just copying everything he did. He's my idol growing up, and it was just a blessing to be on the same court as him and compete.
It was It was me and him. Nobody on that court mattered. Nothing else mattered. It was everything for me. You know, it was everything for me. It was the best moment of my life.
That's 3 and a foul.
I always felt like I belonged here. It was just a matter of how good was I going to be. I mean, that was the question.
I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. I think that's what greatness is or should be. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever.
Define Kobe. Oh, man.
I think of a player who loved the game.
Kobe is an inspiration, you know, aspiring for greatness, blazing his own path, and every moment being able to, you know, give you something to kind of look up to in terms of, you know, being a leader and trying to just get everything out of your potential as possible.
You know, if it is one word, it's excellence. Fierce competitor, one of the greatest players to ever play the game.
I think Kobe is the epitome of basketball. His work ethic, it's everything that you would want to get from a basketball player.
I think one thing that I always say is you essentially got to see 1 year of who Kobe Bryant really is. And that was the last year, and that's because he was able to turn off kind of the Mamba mentality and just enjoy and appreciate the game of basketball. Just how great Kobe was, what we all knew. Like, I could call Kobe at 3 o'clock in the morning and he would answer. You would have never believed that until you saw Kobe in his last year and how he was to everyone. That's who Kobe really was. That's who he is to me. That's the guy I remember. That's the guy I love. That's the guy I appreciate, and that's the guy I miss.
One of the unique things about Kobe's legacy is his connection to the women's game. He called himself a girl dad, which I thought was just a really cool expression.
You know, I take that girl dad thing pretty serious in terms of how, you know, I want to balance, you know, the success you want to have on the court and how you want to represent your family.
I never had the chance to meet Gigi, but, you know, I think everybody knew that she was a promising star, and you know, I think she was really on her way to change the way that people looked at the WNBA and the way that people looked at women's basketball, period.
You know, I just feel like she had so much in store. Being able just to be the daughter of, you know, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, and the way that he was going to impact the game through her was something that I think not only, you know, female athletes are looking for, but athletes in general and people in general. And she was such an inspiration at a young age, and you saw the determination that she got from her father. And
his legacy is something that, in my opinion, is going to probably be unmatched. The young people coming up, especially ones that love the game, will carry that legacy on just by wearing his jersey or wearing his sneakers.
He's literally, you know, what any basketball player should aspire to be, should want to be. Give it your all every single day. You invest in your craft. You know what you want to get out of it. And Kobe knew what he wanted from a young age. And man was one of the best basketball players in the world for almost 20 years. That's special.
Kobe, he was one of my biggest inspirations growing up. And then I got a chance to meet him when I was in college. He came to work out at my school before we had practice. And mind you, we practiced at 5:45 in the morning. So I slept in the locker room so I could, because I knew he was coming, so I slept in the locker room so that I would be there when he got there. And I got to watch him through like a little window in the training room, because he made sure every door was closed, every window was shut. But there was one little window that me and one of my teammates got to watch part of his workout through. And afterwards we got to meet him and he talked to us, and that was pretty, it was exciting, it was humbling, and it inspired me even more.
I had the privilege of being able to play against Kobe Bryant a good amount of times, and then also just, have an opportunity to sign with the same agency that he was with, and he was the reason for that. And so I was able to study him a lot. It was almost like, I was in Harvard Business School, but I was in Kobe Business School, studying his every move on and off the court. He was kind of the the model figure of becoming a great player and what it looked like, in terms of his dedication on the court. The Mamba mentality was real. I was able to see that up close and personal a few times with the Olympic team. Forever indebted to him and all the influence he had on my career.
He was such an impact on my life because I wanted to have that Mamba mentality so bad, and just having that look on your face, and I feel like I had that moment in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Game 6. I feel like that was my Mamba moment, and I remember laying on the floor thinking like, this is my Mamba moment.
Kobe Bryant, to me, is one of the best players to ever step on the floor, play the game of basketball. To play for the Lakers is just special. To have opportunity to go up and play against him meant everything for me, because growing up, Kobe Bryant was always my favorite player to watch. And my favorite memory of him is the game he scored 81 points. I remember I was in middle school, and I came in to school that day, and one of my friends, his favorite player was Kobe, and he had the stats in the paper, and I just never forgot how amazing that was, and being able to watch that game live, it meant a lot to me, and it's a memory that I always will remember.
Obviously, growing up a Raptors fan, Kobe came and gave us 81, when I was a kid. I wouldn't say it was the best memory as a Raptors fan, but, just watching, him work that night, he was impeccable. One of the obviously best players to ever play the game. Just to watch his career, and obviously, growing up in Canada, being a big Steve Nash fan, watching him take out Nash in the Western Conference year after year, it hurts, but, he was the real deal, and everything he's done for this game, on so many levels. He's meant a lot for this game, and he's, taking the game to new levels, and the game is where it is right now because of him.
Favorite memory of Kobe was when Matt Barnes faked the pass at him, and he didn't flinch. I feel like that's my favorite moment of Kobe.
My very first game in the NBA was in Portland, Oregon. I was playing for the Portland Trail Blazers, and we happened to be playing the Lakers. And for whatever reason, the vets allowed me to do the pregame referee huddle, and right in front of me was Kobe Bryant. I think maybe I was in shock because I don't really remember much about the exchange, but I do remember my aha moments of the NBA was I checked in the middle of the first quarter, and I went to stand on the free throw lane, and I looked to my right, and it was Kobe Bryant. And I really just thought to myself as a young 20-year-old, wow, I'm really in the NBA, and I'm standing next to a man who has had such a big impact on this league. And so that would be my Kobe Bryant memory.
Just watching him, mentor the next generation. My relationship with Dwayne, LeBron and guys like that. Just watching, how they looked up to him, how they reached out to him, for advice, not just on the court but off the court. How he was always willing to be there for those guys and not only help them be better basketball players but better men. So my admiration and respect for Kobe goes beyond the game of basketball. As a competitor, I've competed against him many of times, and on the court, I would say my fondest memory would be, I can't remember exactly what year it was, but when he hit the game-winning shot on Dwayne going the wrong way off the wrong leg. I was actually the guy that was double-teaming that inbound pass, and he grabbed me and threw me, and I kind of let him get away with it because I didn't want to pick up an off-ball foul, and it was still a tough shot, and it was a great shot made by a great player.
My favorite memory of Kobe, there's a lot of good ones. Mine would probably have to be on Christmas Day when he was playing LeBron and D-Wade. Just the way that they were competing, going at it the whole game and, really competing. I just, learned a lot from that game, just seeing how high of a level they play the game at in the NBA.
Kobe, for me, had a lot of great conversations with him, but I just remember being a young player playing for the Bulls. I wanted to make a name for myself. And as soon as I checked into the game against the Lakers one time, Lou, I was like, you know what? I've guarded Kobe X amount of times throughout my career. You go over there and guard him for a possession. He scored immediately, obviously. But I actually got a bucket on him in that game, and it was just like, you know what? I am here in the league. Kobe is a hell of a player, probably one of the most unguardable ones ever. So it was a pleasure to be able to compete against him for the time being, and he will be missed, RIP.
I mean, Kobe was one of the greatest in these sports, and for me, I remember 2010 was my second, third year in the league, and we played the conference finals versus Lakers, and unfortunately we lost that series. But I'm never gonna forget what he did in that series. He was unbelievable. He was scoring 40, 45. Basically, he was unstoppable. And after one game, he came to me and gave me a pat on my back and said, "Kid, keep working. You're gonna do good things." And that was one of those moments that I have with Kobe, was something really special. And until this day, for me, he was one of the best players in the NBA history.
One thing I always have so much respect for is that he demanded the ball and demanded the moment when the moment and the stage was at its biggest. So I have a ton of, obviously, respect for him, and he will certainly forever be missed. The impact that he's had on this generation, but the generations to come, cannot be, understated.
For me, growing up, Kobe was my favorite player to ever watch, and to this day, he still is. Just growing up in Orange County, California, you see Kobe all around you, and just all the hard work he put into the game of basketball, and just growing up, I remember having all his aesthetics. He would wear the little sweatband on his elbow, and then maybe he'll throw the sleeve, maybe he'll throw the mask, maybe he'll buy his jersey, all the little things. Just he was almost like a superhero for us growing up. So Kobe is one of those guys that when we lost him, it was something different. So my favorite memory of him is just really what he brought to basketball every single day.